Ever since I first fell in love with reading, classic books have been of great interest to me. The fact that stories told 100 or maybe hundreds of years ago can pack the same punch today, or even a bigger one now than they did back then. The fact that characters and stories told back then resemble similar times to what I'm experiencing in my day-to-day life, I think that is just the coolest experience and the coolest thing you can get out of reading. Here are 6 classic books I want to read in 2026 to help me further my classics repertoire and just experience what all that classic literature has to offer. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Sam. I read books. I read all sorts of books. You see a massive fantasy shelf, chess books, contemporary fiction. I'm talking classics today, so sit down, grab a snack, a beverage of choice, and let's get into it. These are in no particular order. This is not like a New Year's resolution or anything, but these are 6 classics I think are sort of next up in line for me and for various reasons. So we'll just dive right in. Book number 1 here, part of my Oxford Illustrated Charles Dickens collection, has to be David Copperfield. I've read 3 of Dickens' novels now, well, I guess 1 novella. Started with A Christmas Carol, and then last year I read Pickwick Papers, and I finished out the year reading Great Expectations, and it was one of my top 10 books of the year, maybe even a top 10 book I have ever read. And I really want to see what David Copperfield is all about. The book Demon Copperhead is gaining tons of traction for good reason. I've heard really good things about it. My family has read it and told me I need to partake. And I thought no better way to preface that book than read the original, I'll call it source material, if I'm not mistaken. Demon Copperhead is based loosely, sort of, off of the story of David Copperfield. So, would like to read this first and foremost. And just because it's a good story. I mean, it's a beautiful edition, this Oxford Illustrated, original illustrations, never been read before. Book 1, David Copperfield. Now, book 2, this is one I believe I have read before. This was back in school, middle school-ish, I believe. I am no longer middle school aged, if that was of any doubt to any of you guys out there. And it is one of my fiance's favorite books of all time, so hey ho, just popped it right up the priority list, and that is The Giver by Lois Lowry. This is a sort of utopian, maybe dystopian novel. I don't really know a whole lot about it. Like I said, I read it in middle school, took notes and whatnot, but recently my fiance reread it and loved it. She was spoiler free, obviously, in her approach to me, and yeah, this just seems sort of like a book everyone should read in their life. I have this pretty pristine mass market paperback edition. Love me a good mass market paperback book. And yeah, book 2, The Giver. Like I said, I don't really know a whole lot about it. This is what I think to be sort of a perfect weekend book, rather short in nature. Actually, maybe I'll just add it to my TBR list for this weekend. There we go. Live and in person, creating a TBR for the week. The Giver by Lois Lowry. All right, book 3 on this list. Another one sort of in vain to prep me for another work, but this one I guess has 2 of those going for it, and the fact that it's just a good story nonetheless. That is The Odyssey by Homer, Homer's Odyssey. This is the Robert Fitzgerald translation. I will have to be the first one to admit I am wholly ignorant to translations of the Greek classics, so if you have any recommendations, let me know down below. This is the one I found at an antique store about a year ago. It was $1, so I had to pick it up. And yeah, this one is sort of twofold in the sense of works I want to read in preparation to get the most out of maybe other classic books, obviously, namely Ulysses by James Joyce is based off of this book in a sense, in a parody, a paradoxical version. Also, I think the story is just sort of interesting. Obviously, it's stood the test of time. No, that doesn't need to be said, but yeah, just an interesting story. And then also I've heard the Christopher Nolan film adaptation is coming out later this year, or maybe it's already out. I'm not too privy on the movie scene, but I feel like anything Christopher Nolan is probably worth watching, so I should read the book and give it a fair shake of the stick before I go see it in theaters or whenever it comes out on my streaming services. And yeah, this one just sort of has this aura about it that I need to read it. It's sort of drawing me in. I plan to read Ulysses this year, maybe, so we'll see. This one will probably be read maybe soon by me. The Odyssey by Homer. Next up on this list, these next two actually are probably a bit out of left field for most, myself included. This one is called Paradise Reclaimed by Halldór Laxness, one of my favorite authors currently. Saying that, I've only read one of his books, but that it was just so goes to show how good that book was. Independent People by Halldór Laxness. I've made so many videos on that book. Go check those out on my channel. But Paradise Reclaimed, this seems a bit more satirical, maybe a bit more funny, laid back, humorous than his Nobel Prize winning piece, Independent People. Paradise Reclaimed tells the story of, again, a rural farmer in mid-1900s Iceland. Sort of poor farmer, his wife and his two daughters. And the King of Denmark comes to visit, and he sells the King of Denmark his precious white pony. Through a series and a chain of events that happened, somehow his family ends up in Mormon, Utah in the United States. It's sort of just like a funny book around what that life looks like. Eventually they come back to Iceland, hence the name Paradise Reclaimed. They reclaim their paradise in Iceland with all this new learnings and teachings that they learned stateside. And yeah, it should just be a good time. It's rather short as well. His book I read previously, Independent People, was rather chunky, so this one will be a good one to throw in the mix. I can certainly see myself reading this. I don't know if this was classified as a beach book, but to me it might. So Paradise Reclaimed by Laxness. Next one here, dabbling in a bit of philosophy, I think. We'll see. Like I said, this is a pie in the sky goal for this year. We'll see if I get around to it. This one seemed like a good place to start. Blending in a mix of a story I already knew, the story of Abraham in the Bible, and taking a more philosophical approach to it. This is Soren Kierkegaard's Fear and Trembling. Cover is a bit egregious, so I will hide that for now. Thanks, YouTube. But for those that know nothing about it, maybe I'll read the back of this, and it will help both of us become acquainted with what this book is about. So it says, in Fear and Trembling, Kierkegaard, writing underneath the pseudonym Johannes de Silentio, expounds his personal view of religion through a discussion of the scene in Genesis in which Abraham prepares to sacrifice his son at God's command. Believing Abraham's unreserved obedience to the essential leap of to be the essential leap of faith needed to make a full commitment to his religion, Kierkegaard himself made great sacrifices in order to dedicate his life entirely to his philosophy and to God. The conviction shown in this religious polemic that a man can have an exceptional mission in life informed all Kierkegaard's later writings and also hugely influential for both Protestant theology and the existentialist movement. I don't know about y'all, but that sounds fascinating. It was a big history buff back in school. I did all the AP history classes, went to Europe with the class and saw all the stuff over there. Obviously not all of it. You get the gist, but yeah, this just sort of seems up my alley, maybe rekindling previous interests in school with religious texts. Again, rather short one, but I assume this one is going to be pretty dense, so take my time with it. This will not be a beach book, as they say, but yeah, sort of piqued my interest when I first dabble into philosophy. All you philosophy buffs out there, let me know. What are some good beginner-friendly books? And I'll take them into consideration. Now this last one here, I have this door stopper of a volume, but I'm only talking about one play in it. This is the, the complete works of William Shakespeare. This is the Oxford Shakespeare 2nd edition. I have this one bookmarked, the play I would like to read first time as an adult. Can you see that? Maybe. Romeo and Juliet. Love is in the air, guys. I am just officially engaged about a month ago. So figured what no better way to read this year than one of the OG love stories, Romeo and Juliet. Again, I read it in high school, I think it was one of those instances where we would just sort of go around the class and each person would read a line. No one got anything out of it. It was just a fun time. Shout out my high school English teacher, Mr. Vore, one time. It was a good time, but I'm looking to maybe get a bit more out of it. And like I said, planning a wedding and all that fun stuff. So like I said, 'tis the season for romance and classic romance at that. So yeah, that is my 6 classic books I would hope to get around to in 2026. Some short ones, some long ones, maybe some deep ones, some funny ones, a good mix. I guess that just goes to show classics themselves aren't necessarily like a genre. They're maybe just more of a classification of books. We have things from sort of like a sci-fi, is The Giver sci-fi? I'm not too sure. A utopian, philosophy, so like satirical family drama, Greek tragedy, plays, and then David Copperfield. Sounds like more family drama, but right up my alley. We will leave it at that. These are 6 classics I want to read in 2026. We'll get a good shot up in here for the thumbnail. Let me know down below. Ooh, I guess we're sort of color coordinated here. Didn't even plan that. Nice. Blues, pink, or purples, and blacks. Pretty ominous. I hope that is not an omen for this year. But if it is, you guys will be the first one to know. Like I said, 6 books I want to read in 2026, classic books. No pressure to read any of these. This is sort of what I'm setting at the start of the year to see what happens. Maybe I'll look back and see if I actually read all of these. We'll leave it at that. Let me know down below what classic books you want to read this year. What are some of your favorite classic books? Recommend them. I love that we recommend books in the comments. I think everyone gets little fun tidbits from it. So yes, I'm looking at you. Leave your favorite classic book comment down below. And we'll leave it at that. If you're new here, consider subscribing. The channel has been blowing up as of recently, so I would appreciate it if you stuck around. Give it a like if you liked it and all that YouTube stuff. And we will catch you in the next one. Thanks for hanging out, guys.